Welcome to my channel, Bookish English. I'm Ariel, and I hope you are doing well wherever you are watching from in the world. Today I am bringing you a special English story lesson. And this time we are going to enter the mysterious world of Sherlock Holmes. My goal is simple. I want to help you bring more English into your life through powerful stories, clear explanations, and natural listening practice. In this video, I will explain a famous Sherlock Holmes mystery called The Speckled Band in simple English, so you can enjoy the story and improve your English at the same time. So I will not make it difficult for you. I will guide you step by step, explain important words, summarize key moments, and help you follow the mystery until the final truth is revealed. So listen carefully, because one frightened woman, one strange whistle, and one locked room are about to take us into an unforgettable story. Lesson 1. A Visitor in Fear. The story begins with a quiet but serious moment. Dr. Watson is sleeping when he suddenly opens his eyes and sees Sherlock Holmes standing beside his bed. Holmes is already dressed. He is calm, but the time of the morning makes the moment feel unusual. Watson looks at the clock and sees that it is only 7:15. This is very early for a normal visit. This is also very early for a new case. But Holmes has come to wake Watson because a young woman is waiting in the sitting room. She has arrived in a very disturbed condition, and she wants to speak to Holmes immediately. Now, my dear learners, notice this carefully. In a mystery story, an early morning visit is not just a simple detail. It tells us that the problem is urgent. It tells us that the person could not wait until later. It tells us that fear has become stronger than sleep. When someone comes to a detective before breakfast, it usually means that something inside that person's life has become too heavy to carry alone. Holmes tells Watson that the young lady is in a state of great excitement. In this situation, excitement does not mean happiness. It means she is nervous, afraid, and emotionally shaken. She has probably traveled a long way with a troubled heart. She has probably repeated the same question in her mind again and again. Will Sherlock Holmes believe me? Will he help me? Will he understand what I cannot explain clearly? This is a very realistic feeling. Many people in real life also feel this way when they are afraid. They do not always have perfect words. They do not always have complete proof. Sometimes they only have small signs, strange feelings, and memories that refuse to leave them alone. That is why this opening works so well. It does not begin with noise. It begins with pressure. It begins with a woman who is so frightened that she has come to Holmes as early as possible. Watson quickly gets ready and follows Holmes into the sitting room. There they see the visitor. She is a young woman dressed in black, and her face is partly covered with a veil. A veil is a piece of cloth that covers the face, and in this scene it makes her look mysterious, sad, and hidden from the world. She is not sitting like a calm person who has come to ask a normal question. She is tense. She is tired. Her whole appearance shows that something is wrong. Holmes speaks to her politely and introduces himself. Then he tells her that Watson is his close friend and that she can speak freely in front of him. This is a small moment, but it is very important. Holmes is not only beginning an investigation, he is creating trust. A frightened person does not need judgment first. A frightened person needs safety. A frightened person needs someone who will listen seriously and not laugh at their fear. Holmes notices that the young woman is shivering. To shiver means your body shakes. Usually, people shiver because they are cold. If you stand outside in winter without warm clothes, you may shiver. If rain makes your clothes wet, you may shiver. So Holmes kindly asks her to come near the fire, and he says that she should have something warm. But the woman gives an answer that changes the whole mood of the story. She says it is not cold that makes her shiver. It is fear. It is terror. This sentence is simple, but it is powerful. She is telling Holmes that the danger is not outside in the weather. The danger is inside her life. It is inside her memory. It is inside her home. Something has frightened her so deeply that even a warm room cannot stop her body from shaking. This is the first strong emotional point of the story, and as viewers, we immediately understand that this is not a small problem. When she raises her veil, Watson sees her face more clearly. She looks like a woman of about 30, but her face carries the marks of stress. Her hair has started to turn gray too early. Her eyes look tired and restless. She seems like someone who has been living under fear for a long time. This is where Sherlock Holmes becomes different from ordinary people. Many people would only see a worried woman. Holmes observes her. There is a difference between seeing and observing. To see means your eyes notice something. To observe means your mind studies the thing carefully and asks what it means. Holmes observes her clothes, her face, her body, her movement, and her fear. This is also a useful lesson for English learners. When you listen to a story in English, do not only try to catch every word. Observe the situation, observe the emotion, observe who is afraid, who is calm, who is hiding something, and who is asking for help. Even when some words are difficult, the scene itself gives you clues. Before Helen Stoner tells her full problem, Holmes already understands something about her journey. He says that she came by train that morning. Helen is shocked because she has not told him this. She asks if he knows her, but Holmes says no. He simply noticed half of a return ticket in her glove. Then he tells her that before reaching the train station, she traveled in a small cart over muddy roads. Again, she is surprised. Holmes explains that there are fresh mud marks on the left arm of her jacket. These marks are not random. They show a special pattern, the kind of pattern that comes from mud thrown up by a small cart when the passenger sits on a certain side. This is deduction. Deduction means using evidence to understand something that you did not directly see. Holmes did not watch Helen traveling. He did not follow her from her house. He simply looked at small signs and connected them with logic. This moment is very helpful for us because it shows the heart of Sherlock Holmes's method. Holmes does not guess blindly. He does not say things only to impress people. He looks carefully. He notices details. He connects facts. Then he speaks. His power is not magic. His power is attention. And my dear learners, this same idea can help you with English. When you hear a difficult sentence, do not panic immediately. Look for the evidence. What words do you already understand? What is the person feeling? What happened before this sentence? What may happen next? These small clues help your brain understand more. English learning becomes easier when you stop fighting every single word and start understanding the whole situation. Helen begins to feel that Holmes may truly be able to help her. She tells him that she has heard about him from someone he helped before. She also explains that she cannot pay him immediately, but soon she will be married, and then she will have control of her own money. This detail is important because it shows her position. She is not entering the room with power and confidence. She is entering with fear, weakness, and hope. But Holmes does not make her feel ashamed. He does not put money before her pain. He tells her that his work is its own reward. In simple words, Holmes cares about the truth. He cares about the mystery. He cares about helping someone when the problem is strange and serious. This builds trust between Helen and Holmes, and it also builds trust between the story and us. Helen then says that the horror of her situation is difficult to explain because her fears are vague. Vague means unclear. She does not have a simple explanation. She does not have one clear proof that she can put on the table. She has small signs. She has memories. She has suspicions. She has fear that other people may not understand. This is very realistic. In real life, danger does not always appear with a clear label. Sometimes a person feels that something is wrong before they can explain why it is wrong. Sometimes fear begins as a whisper, not as a scream. Holmes understands this, so he listens carefully. He does not interrupt her. He does not laugh at her. He does not call her nervous or foolish. He gives full attention to the small details, because he knows that small details often carry the truth. By the end of this first part, we understand the emotional heart of the beginning. A frightened woman has come to Baker Street because she can no longer carry her fear alone. Her body is shaking. Her face shows stress. Her words are not yet complete, but the danger already feels real. Holmes has not solved the mystery yet, but he has already done something powerful. He has listened. He has observed. He has shown Helen that her fear matters. So keep these useful words in your mind as we move forward. Visitor, fear, shiver, veil, observe, clue, and deduction. These words are not only vocabulary words. They are keys to the story, and now the real question begins. What happened in Helen Stoner's home that made her run to Sherlock Holmes so early in the morning? In the next lesson, we will go deeper into Holmes's method, and we will see how small details slowly become the road to truth. Lesson 2: Holmes and his method. Holmes and his method begins with one important truth. Sherlock Holmes does not solve mysteries by magic. He does not close his eyes and suddenly know the answer. He does not guess wildly and hope that he is right. His real power is much more practical. He looks carefully. He listens patiently. He notices small signs. Then he connects those small signs with clear thinking. This is why Helen Stoner feels a little hope after only a few minutes in his room. Before she has even explained her full problem, Holmes has already understood part of her morning journey. He has seen the train ticket in her glove. He has noticed the fresh mud on her jacket. He has understood that she traveled by train and also by a small cart over muddy roads. To another person, these details may look unimportant. To Holmes, They are not unimportant at all. They are clues, and in a mystery, a clue is like a small candle in a dark room. It does not show everything immediately, but it gives you enough light to move forward. Now, my dear learners, this is also a very powerful lesson for your English. Many learners think they must understand every word before they can understand the story. They hear one difficult word, and suddenly their confidence becomes weak. They stop listening. They think, my English is not good enough. But Sherlock Holmes teaches us another way. He does not need the full answer at the beginning. He starts with what he can see. You can do the same with English. When you listen to a story, start with the words you understand. Start with the emotion you feel. Start with the situation. Is the person afraid? Is the person angry? Is the person asking for help? Is the scene calm or dangerous? These are also clues. When you collect enough clues, your brain begins to understand the meaning, even before every single word becomes clear. This is how real listening improves. Not by panic, not by translation of every word, but by patient attention. Holmes's method has 3 simple steps that we can understand easily. First, he observes. Second, he collects facts. Third, he makes a deduction. To observe means to look carefully and think about what you are seeing. A normal person may see Helen's clothes and think, she is wearing black. Holmes sees more. He sees that she is tired. He sees that she has traveled early. He sees that the mud is fresh. He sees where the mud has fallen. He sees that the marks tell a story. This is the difference between looking and understanding. The second step is collecting facts. Holmes does not build a theory too early. He does not say, I know everything now. He waits. He lets Helen speak. He wants details. He wants the real order of events. This is important because a wrong theory can blind the mind. If you decide too early, you may ignore the truth. The third step is deduction. Deduction means using evidence to understand something you did not directly see. Holmes did not see Helen riding in the cart, but the mud tells him what happened. He did not travel with her, but the ticket tells him part of her route. This is not magic. This is disciplined thinking. Let me give you a simple example, because this word deduction is very useful. Imagine you enter your room and see wet footprints on the floor. You also see an umbrella near the door, and you hear rain outside. You did not see anyone enter the room, but you can deduce that someone came in from the rain. You used evidence. The wet footprints are evidence. The umbrella is evidence. The rain outside is evidence. Together, they help you understand what happened. Holmes does the same thing, but on a much higher level. He notices things that other people miss. He does not waste small details. He respects them. This is why people come to him when their problems are too strange for ordinary thinking. And this is why Helen Stoner has come to him now. Her fear is not simple. Her story is not easy. She has small signs, strange memories, and a terrible feeling that danger is near. She needs someone who can take small details seriously. At this point, I want you to keep a few important English words in your mind because they will help you follow the whole mystery. A clue is a small sign that helps you understand the truth. Evidence means facts or signs that show what may be true. A mystery is something that is difficult to explain. A case is a problem or crime that a detective investigates. A deduction is a conclusion made from evidence. A suspect is a person who may be connected to the crime or problem. These words are not only for detective stories. You can use them in real English too. For example, you can say, I found a clue. You can say, there is no evidence. You can say, this is a mystery to me. You can say, the police are investigating the case. These are strong and useful words, and when you learn them through a story, they stay in your memory longer because your mind connects them with emotion. Now let us return to Helen. She is sitting in front of Holmes and Watson. She is still afraid, but she is beginning to trust Holmes because he has already shown his ability. This is important in storytelling. Before the big mystery is explained, the writer shows us why Holmes is special. He proves his intelligence in a small way first. He reads Helen's journey from her clothing. This prepares us to believe that he may also read the truth from the larger mystery later. In other words, the small deduction at the beginning is not just entertainment. It builds trust. It tells the viewer, stay here. This man can see what others cannot see. And for your learning, this is also a trust-building moment. You do not need to fear old stories. You do not need to fear mystery stories. If you move slowly and understand the important clues, the story becomes clear. Holmes also teaches us something about calmness. Helen is emotional because she is living inside fear. Watson is curious because he wants to understand, but Holmes stays calm. This does not mean he has no feeling. It means he does not let emotion destroy his thinking. He listens with attention. He speaks gently. He asks for details. This balance is one reason Holmes is powerful. He does not ignore Helen's fear, but he does not become lost inside it. He respects her feelings and still searches for facts. This is a beautiful lesson for real life and for English learning too. When you feel confused, do not attack yourself. Do not say, I am bad at English. Stay calm. Ask, what do I understand? What is the situation? What is the main idea? What are the clues? Calm thinking helps you learn faster. There is also a very important warning in Holmes's method. He does not create a theory before he has enough facts. Many people do the opposite. They hear one detail and immediately decide the answer. They say, I know what happened. But Holmes is careful. He knows that early guesses can be dangerous. In this story, there will be many things that look suspicious. There will be a violent stepfather. There will be strange animals. There will be gypsies near the house. There will be a whistle in the night. There will be mysterious last words. If we jump too quickly, we may choose the wrong answer. Holmes wants facts first. This makes the mystery more exciting because we must listen closely. Every detail may matter. Every small object, may become important later. So as we continue, I want you to become part of the investigation. Do not only listen like a passive viewer. Listen like a young detective. Keep 3 clues in your mind: the whistle, the locked room, and the strange words, the speckled band. These 3 clues will follow us through the story. A whistle is a sound. A locked room means no one can easily enter or leave. The speckled band is a phrase with hidden meaning. What is it? Is it a group of people? Is it something Helen's sister saw? Is it a mistake caused by fear? Or is it something more dangerous than anyone expects? Do not try to force the answer now. Just hold the clues gently in your mind. That is what Holmes would do. He would not panic. He would not rush. He would observe, collect, compare, and wait for the facts to speak. By the end of this lesson, the most important thing is clear. Sherlock Holmes's method is not only useful for solving a crime, it is useful for understanding anything difficult. He teaches us to observe before judging. He teaches us to collect facts before making a theory. He teaches us to respect small details. And for English learners, this is a powerful message. When English feels difficult, do not stop at the first unknown word. Look for clues. Listen to the emotion. Follow the story. Connect what you know with what you hear. This is how your mind becomes stronger in English. Now Helen Stoner is ready to tell the darker part of her story. She will take us away from Baker Street and into the old house of Stoke Moran, where her family history, her stepfather's violent nature, and her sister's mysterious death will begin to form the real shape of the case. Lesson 3: The House of Roylott. Now Helen Stoner begins to take Holmes and Watson away from Baker Street and into the dark history of her family. She tells them that she lives with her stepfather, Dr. Grimesby Roylott, at an old family house called Stoke Moran. At first, this may sound like a normal family detail, but in a Sherlock Holmes story, family history is never just background. It often contains the reason behind the mystery. Helen explains that the Roylott family was once rich and powerful. They came from an old family line, and their house had once been a symbol of respect, land, and social position. But over time, the family lost much of its wealth. One generation after another wasted money, made bad choices, and slowly destroyed the family's fortune. So, by the time Dr. Roylott became the head of the family, only the old house and some land remained. My dear learners, this is important because the house is not only a place, it is a picture of the family itself. It was once great, but now it is broken, lonely, and full of shadows. Helen then explains that Dr. Roylott had gone to India and worked there as a doctor. This detail matters because later in the story, India will connect to some of the strange things around him. He was not only a country gentleman living quietly in an English village, he had lived abroad. He had seen another world. He had brought back habits, animals, and knowledge that other people around him did not understand. But Helen also tells Holmes something much darker. While Dr. Roylott was in India, he became involved in violence. He was accused of killing his servant during a fit of anger. A fit of anger means a sudden and powerful moment when someone loses control. He escaped the death penalty, but he spent time in prison. When he returned to England, he was not a peaceful man. He was bitter, angry, disappointed, and dangerous. This is the first time we begin to feel that Helen's fear may have a real human source. Now let us pause for a few useful English words, because these words will help you understand the story more deeply. A stepfather is the man who is married to your mother, but he is not your biological father. Violent means someone uses force to hurt or frighten others. Temper means how quickly and strongly a person becomes angry. If someone has a bad temper, they become angry very easily. An estate means a large house with land around it. Suspicious means something feels wrong, strange, or possibly dangerous. These words are not only story words. You can use them in real English. You can say, "He has a bad temper." You can say, "That situation looks suspicious." You can say, "The old estate is outside the village." When you learn these words inside a story, they become easier to remember because they are connected with feeling, place, and action. Helen's mother had money, and after her mother's death, Dr. Roylott controlled much of that money. This detail may seem financial, but in a detective story, money is often connected to motive. Motive means the reason why someone might do something wrong. Helen and her twin sister Julia were supposed to receive part of the money when they got married. So marriage is not only a romantic event in this story, marriage also changes the money situation. If one of the sisters marries, Dr. Roylott loses some control. This is a small detail now, but please keep it in your mind. Sherlock Holmes would not ignore it. He would quietly place it beside the other clues and wait to see how it connects with the mystery. After Helen's mother died in a railway accident, Dr. Roylott took Helen and Julia to live with him at Stoke Moran. This old house should have been a home, but for Helen and her sister, it became a place of fear. Dr. Roylott did not build friendships with neighbors. He did not become a kind family protector. Instead, he shut himself inside the house and came out mostly to quarrel with people. The villagers became afraid of him. He was a man of great physical strength, but he had almost no control over his anger. Helen says that people would avoid him when they saw him coming. Imagine living in a place where the person who should protect you is the person everyone fears. Imagine being young, isolated, and dependent on someone whose mood can change into violence. This is why Helen's fear feels real. She is not imagining danger. She has lived near danger for years. The house itself also adds to the feeling of fear. Stoke Moran is old. It is partly ruined. Only one part of the house is used. The rest of it seems neglected and lifeless. This kind of setting is powerful in a mystery story because the place becomes almost like another character. The broken walls, the quiet rooms, the lonely land, and the dark family history all make the viewer feel that something is not right. For English learners, This is a good moment to understand atmosphere. Atmosphere means the feeling created by a place, a scene, or a description. A sunny garden can create a peaceful atmosphere. A dark old house with a violent man inside creates a frightening atmosphere. Conan Doyle, the writer, uses this atmosphere to prepare our minds for danger before the main mystery is fully explained. Then Helen gives another strange detail. Dr. Roylott keeps unusual animals from India. There is a cheetah and a baboon on the grounds of the house. These animals move freely outside, and the villagers fear them almost as much as they fear their master. This makes Stoke Moran feel even more dangerous. It is not just an old house. It is a place where wild animals may be near the windows, where servants do not want to stay, where neighbors keep away, and where two young women live under the control of an angry man. But my dear learners, here is something very important. In mystery stories, not every frightening detail is the answer. Sometimes frightening details are distractions. They make us look in one direction, while the truth is hiding somewhere else. So when you hear about the cheetah, the baboon, the gypsies, and the angry stepfather, do not decide too quickly. Ask yourself, is this the real clue, or is it only making the atmosphere darker? Helen and Julia had very little happiness in that house. Servants did not stay because the place was too unpleasant and Roylott was too frightening. The sisters were often alone. They did much of the housework themselves. They did not have an easy social life. They did not meet many people of their own age. This makes Julia's engagement even more important. When Julia visited a relative, she met a man and became engaged to be married. For many people, engagement is a joyful beginning. For Julia, it should have been the door to freedom. Marriage may have meant love, safety, and escape from Stoke Moran. But in this story, the hope of marriage is followed by danger. This is where the emotional pressure becomes stronger. A young woman is close to leaving a frightening house, and then something terrible happens. Now I want you to think like Sherlock Holmes for a moment. We have several important facts. Dr. Roylott is violent. The house is isolated. The sisters are financially connected to their mother's money. Marriage would reduce Roylott's control over that money. Julia was engaged to be married. Helen is now also close to marriage. These facts do not prove everything, but they create a serious question. Does Dr. Roylott have a reason to stop the marriages? Is he only a frightening background character, or is he directly connected to the danger? This is the kind of question that keeps viewers watching because the answer is not fully clear yet. Holmes will not jump too early, and we should not jump too early either. By the end of this lesson, the house of Roylott is no longer just a location. It has become the center of fear. It is old, broken, isolated, and controlled by a dangerous man. Helen's life there has been full of pressure. Julia's life there ended in mystery. And now, as Helen tells her story, we begin to understand why she came to Baker Street shaking with terror. The danger did not suddenly appear in one night. It grew slowly inside a house where money, anger, loneliness, and secrets were already waiting. So keep these words and ideas in your mind. Stepfather, violent temper, estate, suspicious, atmosphere, motive, and isolation. In the next lesson, Helen will tell Holmes about the night her sister Julia died, the strange whistle in the darkness, and the mysterious last words that still haunt her. The Speckled Band. Lesson 4. The Sister's Last Words. Helen now reaches the most painful part of her story. Until this moment, she has explained the dark house, the violent stepfather, the lonely life, and the fear that slowly filled Stoke Moran. But now she speaks about her twin sister, Julia. This is not only a mystery for Helen, this is a wound in her heart. Julia was not just a family member. She was Helen's closest companion in a house where there was very little comfort. They had grown up together. They had suffered together. They had lived under the same roof with the same frightening man. So when Helen begins to speak about Julia's death, we should not listen only like people waiting for a crime story. We should listen like human beings. A sister lost her sister. A home became a place of terror. And one strange phrase remained behind like a locked door, waiting for someone to open it. Julia had been engaged to be married. The word engaged means promise to marry someone. For many people, engagement is a happy time. It means a new beginning. It means hope. It means a person may soon leave an old life and begin a new one. For Julia, this engagement was even more important because it could have been a way out of Stoke Moran. She had lived in a house filled with fear, anger, and loneliness. Marriage could give her safety. It could give her independence. It could give her a future away from Dr. Roylott. But in this story, happiness does not come alone. It comes with danger standing behind it. And as we already learned, marriage was also connected to money. If Julia married, she would receive part of her mother's money. That means Dr. Roylott would lose some control. This does not prove everything yet, but it creates a serious question. Was Julia's coming marriage a reason for someone to stop her? Helen explains that, not long before the wedding, Julia began to hear something strange at night. It was a low whistle. A whistle is a clear sound that someone can make with the mouth, or sometimes with an object. It can be soft. It can be sharp. It can be used to call someone, to signal something, or simply to make a sound. But in this story, the whistle is not friendly. It comes in the deep quiet of the night. Julia hears it around 3 in the morning. That time is important because the world is usually very still then. Most people are sleeping. A small sound can feel much bigger in the darkness. Julia asks Helen if she has ever heard anyone whistle in the dead of night. Helen says no. Julia wonders where the sound came from. Maybe it came from outside on the lawn. Maybe it came from the next room. Maybe it was connected to the gypsies who stayed near the house. At this point, nobody knows. My dear learners, this is a perfect example of how a mystery gives us a clue without explaining it immediately. The whistle is not just a sound, it is a question. Why does it happen at night? Why does Julia hear it more than once? Why does Helen not hear it? Is it coming from outside or from inside the house? A good detective story does not throw the answer at us too quickly. It gives us small pieces and asks us to think. This is also very helpful for English learning. When you hear a new word or a strange sentence, do not panic. Ask yourself, what is the situation? What is the feeling? What detail keeps coming back? In this lesson, the whistle keeps coming back, so we must remember it. Then comes the fatal night. The word fatal means causing death or leading to a tragic end. The weather is terrible, the wind is strong, the rain is beating against the windows. The house feels darker than usual. Julia has already spoken to Helen about the strange whistle. Then she goes back to her own room. Like the sisters usually do, she locks her door. This detail is very important. They lock their doors at night because Dr. Roylott keeps wild animals outside, including a cheetah and a baboon. So the locked door feels like protection. But later, the locked door will become part of the mystery. If the door was locked from the inside, how could danger enter the room? Helen cannot sleep. She has a heavy feeling inside her. Sometimes fear comes before proof. Sometimes your heart feels that something is wrong before your mind can explain it. Then suddenly, Helen hears a terrible scream. A scream is a loud cry of fear, pain, or shock. Helen knows immediately that it is Julia's voice. Imagine that moment. The storm is outside, the house is dark, the corridor is waiting like a long shadow. Helen runs from her room because she knows her sister is in danger. A corridor means a long passage inside a building, with rooms opening from it. Helen opens her door and rushes into that corridor. As she does, she thinks she hears the same low whistle that Julia had mentioned. Then she hears another sound, like metal falling or closing. These two sounds are important. The whistle and the metallic sound. Keep them in your mind. Then Helen sees something unforgettable. Julia appears at the door of her room. Her face is full of terror. Her body is weak. She is moving strangely, almost like someone who cannot control herself. Helen runs to her and holds her. Julia is in terrible pain. She is dying. But before she loses consciousness, she says the words that become the heart of the mystery. She says it was the band. The speckled band. These are her last words. Last words means the final words a person speaks before death. In a mystery story, last words are often very important because they may contain the only clue the victim can give. But the problem is that Julia's words are unclear. What is a speckled band? Speckled means covered with small spots. A band can mean a group of people, like a band of travelers, or it can mean something like a strip or ring. So what did Julia mean? Did she see a group of people? Did she see something with spots? Did she speak clearly, or was fear making her words confused? This is the question that keeps the story alive. What was the speckled band? Was it connected to the gypsies near the house? Was it something Julia saw in her final moment? Was it a clue, or was it only a mistake made in terror? Holmes will not answer too quickly, and we should not answer too quickly either. At this point, we only know that Julia died after hearing a whistle, after locking her room, and after saying those mysterious words. The mystery becomes even stronger because nobody can explain how the danger reached her. There were no signs of violence from another person. There was no clear weapon. The door had been locked. The window was secure. The room did not show an easy way for someone to enter or escape. By the end of this lesson, Helen's fear becomes completely understandable. She is not afraid because of imagination. She is afraid because her sister died in a way nobody could explain. She is afraid because the same conditions may be returning. She is also engaged now, just as Julia was. She is sleeping in a room connected to the same old house, under the control of the same violent stepfather, with the same unanswered mystery hanging over her life. So keep these words in your mind: engaged, whistle, scream, corridor, locked room, last words, speckled, and banned. These words are keys to the case. In the next lesson, the danger will become even more direct, because Holmes will begin to see signs of violence around Helen, and Dr. Roylott himself will step into the story like a living threat. Lesson 5. A violent man appears. After Helen tells Holmes about Julia's strange death, the room becomes heavier with silence. Her story is no longer just a sad memory. It is a warning. Julia was engaged to be married, and soon after that, she died in a way nobody could explain. Now Helen is also engaged to be married. This detail changes everything. It means Helen is not only telling Holmes about the past, she may be describing her own future danger. My dear learners, this is where the mystery becomes personal and urgent. Helen is not asking Holmes to solve an old story for curiosity. She is asking him to understand a danger that may be moving toward her right now. The same house is still there. The same stepfather is still there. The same fear is still there. And now, the same situation may be returning. Holmes listens carefully, but he does not only listen to Helen's words. He also observes her body. He notices marks on her wrist. A wrist is the part of your body between your hand and your arm. These marks suggest that someone has held her very tightly, perhaps cruelly. Holmes does not need a long explanation to understand what kind of life Helen is living. Her words tell him one story, and her wrist tells him another. This is very important in Sherlock Holmes's method. Evidence does not always come from a speech. Sometimes evidence is on a coat. Sometimes it is in a room. Sometimes it is on a person's body. Helen may try to speak calmly, but the marks on her wrist reveal violence. Violence means physical force used to hurt, control, or frighten someone. And when Holmes sees those marks, he understands that Dr. Roylott is not only frightening in stories, he is dangerous in real life. This moment also helps us understand why Helen's fear is so deep. Some people around her may think she is nervous. Some may think she is imagining danger because of what happened to her sister, but the marks on her wrist say something different. They show that fear has a physical reality in her life. She lives with a man who can hurt her. She lives in a house where she does not feel safe. And yet she has still found the courage to come to Holmes. Courage does not mean you are not afraid. Courage means you are afraid, but you still take one step toward help. Helen's visit to Baker Street is an act of courage. She is scared, but she speaks. She is shaken, but she asks for help. She does not fully understand the mystery, but she refuses to stay silent. After Helen leaves, Holmes and Watson begin to think more seriously about the case. Holmes understands that this is not a simple problem. Julia died inside a room that was locked. The window was secure. No one seemed able to enter. There was a whistle in the night. There was a metallic sound. There were strange last words. the speckled band. And now, there is another important fact. Dr. Roylott may have a strong motive. Motive means the reason someone may do something wrong. In detective stories, motive is very important because a crime usually has a reason behind it. Money can be a motive. Jealousy can be a motive. Fear of losing power can be a motive. In this case, marriage matters because if Helen or Julia married, part of their mother's money would go to them. That means Dr. Roylott would lose money and control. This does not prove that he is guilty, but it makes him highly suspicious. Now let us learn 3 very useful detective words: motive, opportunity, and evidence. Motive means the reason someone may commit a crime. Opportunity means the chance to do it. Evidence means the facts or signs that show what may be true. A detective cannot depend on feelings alone. A detective needs all 3. Dr. Roylott may have a motive because of money. He may have opportunity because he lives near the rooms where the sisters sleep. But Holmes still needs evidence. He needs to see the house. He needs to examine the room. He needs to understand how a person could die in a locked room. This is why Holmes does not rush to accuse anyone. He may suspect Roylott, but he still needs proof. A suspect is a person who may be connected to the crime, but a suspect is not automatically guilty. Then the danger becomes direct. Dr. Roylott himself comes to Baker Street. This is a powerful moment, because until now, we have only heard about him from Helen. Now he enters the story with his own anger. He is a large, strong man, and he is full of threatening energy. To threaten means to show or say that you may hurt someone. Roylott has followed Helen. He knows she came to Holmes. He is angry because Holmes is now involved. He warns Holmes not to interfere. To interfere means to get involved in a matter that someone else wants to control. Roylott wants Holmes to stay away from his family, his house, and his secrets. But this warning has the opposite effect. It does not frighten Holmes away. It proves that something is truly wrong. Think about this carefully. If Dr. Roylott had nothing to hide, why would he come all the way to Baker Street to threaten a detective? Why would he be so angry? Why would he try to frighten Holmes before Holmes even visits the house? This is a strong retention point for us as viewers. If this man is dangerous enough to threaten Sherlock Holmes in his own room, what could he do to Helen inside that lonely house? The mystery is no longer only about a strange whistle. It is about power, control, fear, and a man who does not want the truth to be found. But Holmes remains calm. This is one of the best things about him. Roylott is loud, angry, and threatening, but Holmes does not lose control. He does not shout back. He does not become nervous. He does not allow Roylott's anger to control the room. This calmness is a kind of strength. Many people think confidence means speaking loudly, but Holmes shows another kind of confidence. Real confidence can be quiet. Real confidence can sit still in front of anger and not break. For English learners, this is also a beautiful lesson. When English feels difficult, do not let fear become your master. Stay calm, observe, think, Continue. Confidence grows when you stop running away from difficult things. After Roylott leaves, Holmes knows that the case must be investigated quickly. Investigate means to search carefully for the truth. Holmes now has enough reason to act. He has Helen's story. He has the strange details of Julia's death. He has the marks of violence on Helen's wrist. He has Roylott's threatening visit. But still, the most important question remains unanswered. How did Julia die inside a locked room? No matter how angry Roylott is, anger alone does not explain the method. A detective must not only ask who may have done it, he must ask how it was done. That is why Holmes and Watson must go to Stoke Moran. By the end of this lesson, the danger has become much clearer. Dr. Roylott is no longer only a name in Helen's story. He has appeared as a living threat. He has shown his anger. He has tried to frighten Holmes. He has made the whole case feel more urgent. But Holmes does not step back. He moves forward. And now the story must leave Baker Street and return to the old house where Julia died, and where Helen may be in danger next. In the next lesson, Holmes and Watson will examine the rooms of Stoke Moran, and there they will find strange objects that seem ordinary at first, but together may reveal the hidden path of the truth. Lesson 6. The Room of Clues. Holmes and Watson now leave words behind and move toward evidence. Up to this point, they have listened to Helen's story. They have heard about Julia's strange death, the whistle in the night, the locked room, the speckled band, and the violent behavior of Dr. Roylott. But listening is only the first part of an investigation. A detective must also look. A detective must walk into the place where the mystery happened and ask quiet questions with his eyes. What is possible here? What is impossible here? What detail looks normal but feels wrong? This is why Holmes and Watson go to Stoke Moran. They are not going there only to see an old house. They are going there to let the house speak. When Holmes reaches the house, he first examines the outside. This is very practical and very important. Julia died in her own room, and the door was locked from the inside. So Holmes must ask, could someone have entered from the window? He does not simply accept the story. He tests it. He looks at the shutters and the window carefully. The shutters are strong. The window is secure. There is no easy way for a person to enter from outside. This matters because it removes one possible answer. Sometimes solving a mystery is not only about finding what happened, it is also about removing what could not have happened. If no one could enter from the window and the door was locked, then the method must be stranger than a normal attack. Holmes is narrowing the road. He is closing the wrong doors, so the right door can become visible. Then Holmes enters the room connected to Julia's death, the room where Helen may now be in danger. At first, the room may look ordinary. There is a bed, there is a bell rope, there is a ventilator. There are normal things that a bedroom might have. But my dear learners, in a Sherlock Holmes story, Ordinary objects are not always ordinary. An ordinary object can become a clue when it is in the wrong place, when it has the wrong purpose, or when it connects to another strange detail. A clue means a small sign that helps us understand the truth. Holmes does not rush through the room like a person who only wants to finish quickly. He studies it. He looks at the floor. He looks at the walls. He looks at the bed. He looks at the rope. He looks at the ventilator. His eyes are calm, but his mind is working very fast. One of the first strange things Holmes notices is the bell rope. A bell rope is a rope that people used in old houses to call a servant. You pull the rope, and somewhere else a bell rings so a servant knows you need help. But in this room, the bell rope is not really connected to a bell. It is a dummy bell rope. Dummy means fake or not real. It looks like it should work, but it does not do its real job. Now ask yourself a practical question. Why would someone put a fake bell rope beside a bed? If it does not call a servant, then what is its purpose? This is exactly the kind of question Holmes asks. He does not ignore the rope because it looks normal. He respects the fact that it is strange. In a mystery, a fake thing is never empty. It usually hides intention. Then Holmes notices the ventilator. A ventilator is a small opening that allows air to pass through. Normally, a ventilator should lead outside or help fresh air enter the room. But this ventilator does not open to the outside. It connects Julia's room to Dr. Roylott's room. This is very suspicious. Suspicious means something feels wrong or possibly dangerous. Why would a ventilator connect two bedrooms? Why would Julia's room need air from Roylott's room? This small opening becomes one of the most important clues in the case. It may look harmless, but Holmes understands that a small opening can be enough for something small to pass through. He does not explain everything yet, but he sees that the room has been arranged in an unnatural way. The third strange detail is the bed. The bed is fixed to the floor. Fixed means attached so it cannot move. Most beds can be moved. You can push them, change their place, or clean under them. But this bed cannot be moved. Again, ask the simple question, why? Why must this bed stay in exactly one place? Why is it placed near the fake bell rope and under the ventilator? Now the room begins to feel different. The fake rope alone is strange. The ventilator alone is strange. The fixed bed alone is strange. But when we connect them, they become much more serious. This is the heart of Holmes's thinking. He does not look at clues separately forever. He connects them. One clue is a word. Several clues together become a sentence. After studying Helen's room, Holmes examines Dr. Roylott's room. There, he sees more objects that seem ordinary at first, but they are not ordinary to him. There is a safe. A safe is a strong box used to keep valuable things protected. There is also a saucer of milk. A saucer is a small, shallow dish, often used under a cup, but milk in a bedroom is a strange detail. People may give milk to a cat, but there is no normal cat in this room. Holmes also notices a chair and a strange kind of leash or cord. A leash is something used to control an animal. Again, Each object alone may not explain everything. A safe can be normal. Milk can be normal. A chair can be normal. A cord can be normal. But together in this room, beside the strange ventilator and fake bell rope, they begin to speak a different language. This is a very useful lesson for English learners too. Sometimes you cannot understand a full story from one word, but when you connect words, actions, and feelings, the meaning becomes clearer. Holmes looks at the room like a learner should listen to English. He does not panic because the answer is hidden. He collects what he understands. He connects one clue with another. He asks why each detail is there. You can use the same method when you listen to English stories. If one word is difficult, do not stop. Ask what the scene is showing. Ask what the emotion is. Ask what happened before and what may happen next. Meaning grows when you connect clues. By the end of this investigation, Holmes does not tell Watson the full answer immediately, but he understands that the danger is real and near. He knows Helen must not sleep in that room tonight. That decision is powerful because it shows that Holmes has seen enough to fear for her safety. The locked room is no longer impossible to him. The fake bell rope, the strange ventilator, the fixed bed, the safe, the milk, and the cord have started to form one dark pattern in his mind. Watson may not understand everything yet, and we may not understand everything yet, but Holmes has moved closer to the truth. In the next lesson, the story will enter its most dangerous night. Holmes and Watson will wait in darkness inside the room, and the mystery that killed Julia may try to return for Helen. Lesson 7. The Night of Danger. The night of danger begins after Holmes finishes examining the rooms of Stoke Moran. He does not explain everything to Watson yet, but his behavior tells us that he has understood something serious. He knows that Helen must not sleep in that room tonight. This decision is very important because Holmes is not a man who becomes afraid without reason. He has seen the fake bell rope. He has seen the strange ventilator. He has seen the fixed bed. He has seen the safe, the milk, and the cord inside Dr. Roylott's room. These things may look small to an ordinary person, but to Holmes, they form a dark pattern. He now believes that the danger which killed Julia may return again, and because Helen is now in the same situation as Julia, engaged to be married and sleeping in the same room, Holmes understands that tonight may be the night when the mystery repeats itself. Holmes gives Helen very careful instructions. He tells her that she must not stay in the dangerous room when night comes. She must pretend everything is normal, but when Dr. Roylott goes to his room, she must move quietly to another safe room. She must also give Holmes and Watson a signal. A signal means a sign used to communicate something. It can be a light, a sound, a movement, or any small action that carries a message. In this case, the signal will help Holmes know when it is safe to enter the room and wait. This word is useful in real English too. You can say, "Give me a signal when you are ready." You can say, "The green light is a signal to go." In this story, the signal is not just a small sign. It is part of a plan to save Helen's life. When night arrives, the mood of the story becomes much darker. Holmes and Watson go to the old house quietly. They must not be seen. They must not make noise. They must not disturb the plan. The house is silent, but it is not peaceful. Sometimes silence can feel safe, But sometimes silence can feel dangerous. A silent house at night can make every small sound feel bigger. A footstep feels louder. A breath feels heavier. A tiny movement can make the heart beat faster. This is how suspense works. Suspense is not always created by action. Sometimes suspense is created by waiting. The longer Holmes and Watson wait, the more the viewer feels that something is coming. We do not know exactly what it is, but we feel that danger is moving closer. Holmes and Watson enter the room where Julia died, and where Helen could have died too. They sit in darkness. They cannot speak. They cannot light a lamp. They must stay perfectly still. Silent means without sound. This is an important word for this lesson, because silence controls the whole scene. Holmes tells Watson not to move and not to make noise. Watson is brave, but he is also human. He knows they are waiting for something deadly, but he does not know what it is. That makes the moment even more frightening. If you know your enemy, you can prepare your mind. But if you do not know what kind of danger is coming, your imagination becomes part of the fear. Watson has his revolver ready, but even a weapon cannot fully comfort him, because the real enemy is still hidden. The hours pass slowly. This is one of the most realistic parts of the story. In real fear, time does not move normally. 1 minute can feel like 10 minutes. A small sound can make you hold your breath. Holmes and Watson wait through the dark hours of the night. Outside, there may be wild animals moving around the grounds. Inside, the old house feels full of secrets. And somewhere nearby, Dr. Roylott is in his own room. Remember, his room is connected to this room by the ventilator. That little opening, which once looked like a simple detail, now feels like a doorway for danger. My dear learners, this is why Holmes told us to respect small clues. A small clue may not feel important when you first see it, but later it can become the center of the whole truth. Then, after a long wait, something changes. Holmes becomes alert. A small light appears near the ventilator. There is also a smell, like oil or something burning from a lamp. Watson notices that Holmes is ready. The danger is no longer only a possibility. It is happening. The room is still dark, but something has entered the moment. There is a soft sound. It is not loud. It is not like a person breaking a door. It is smaller and more frightening because it is difficult to understand. This is another strong storytelling lesson. Sometimes the scariest sound is not the loudest sound. Sometimes the scariest sound is the sound you cannot explain. Suddenly, Holmes jumps into action. He lights a match and strikes at the bell rope. To strike means to hit. He hits quickly and strongly. Watson cannot fully see what Holmes is hitting, and this keeps the mystery alive for a few more moments. Then Watson hears a sound that increases the terror of the scene. It is a hiss. A hiss is the sound a snake can make, or a sharp sound like air escaping. The word hiss is very useful, because the sound itself feels dangerous. It is short. It is sharp. It makes the listener feel alert. Holmes has seen something that Watson did not see clearly. He knows that something has come through the ventilator and down the fake bell rope. He reacts instantly, because 1 second of delay could be fatal. Then comes the most shocking moment of the night. A terrible scream comes from Dr. Roylott's room. This scream is not like Julia's scream from the past, but it connects to it in our minds. The same house, the same night fear, the same hidden danger. Watson and Holmes rush toward Roylott's room. The mystery has changed direction. They were waiting to protect Helen, but now the scream has come from the stepfather's room. This is the perfect retention moment. What did Holmes see? What came through the ventilator? Why did he strike the bell rope? And why did Roylott scream? The answer is very close, but it is not yet fully spoken. This lesson teaches us more than suspense. It teaches us patience, attention, and courage. Holmes does not defeat danger by shouting. He defeats it by preparing carefully. Watson does not understand everything, but he still trusts Holmes and stays with him. Helen protects herself by following the plan. Everyone has a role, and for English learners, this is also a powerful message. When a story becomes difficult, do not run away from it. Stay with the scene. Follow the clues. Notice the repeated details. The ventilator, the bell rope, the fixed bed, the whistle, and the night all come together slowly. Understanding is not always immediate. Sometimes understanding arrives after you wait with patience. By the end of this lesson, the danger has finally appeared, but the full truth is still waiting behind the final door. Holmes and Watson have heard Roylott scream. They are about to enter his room. The strange clues are about to become clear. The speckled band, the whistle, the milk, the safe, the ventilator, and the fake bell rope will finally connect. In the next lesson, Holmes will reveal the truth, and we will understand how a locked room, a strange sound, and a few ordinary objects created one of the most unforgettable mysteries in Sherlock Holmes. Lesson 8. The Truth Revealed. Holmes and Watson now rush toward Dr. Roylott's room after hearing the terrible scream. The same house that was silent a few moments ago is now filled with shock. Watson does not yet understand what has happened, but he knows that the mystery has reached its final moment. Holmes has struck at the bell rope. Something has moved back through the ventilator. Then Roylott has screamed from the next room. The danger that once seemed invisible has finally shown its effect. When Holmes and Watson enter Roylott's room, they see him sitting there, but something is terribly wrong. His face is fixed in fear. His body is still. He is dead. And around his head they see the real meaning of the strange words Julia spoke before she died. The speckled band is not a group of people. It is not a cloth. It is not something connected to the gypsies. It is a deadly snake with speckled markings. Now, my dear learners, this is the moment when the whole story becomes clear. The word reveal means to show something that was hidden. The truth is finally revealed. Julia's last words were not meaningless. She really saw something speckled. She saw the snake, but in her pain and terror, she could only describe it as a band. This is why her words confused everyone. A band can mean a group of people, so people may think about the gypsies outside the house. A band can also mean something like a strip or ring, so it can describe the shape of a snake when it moves or curls. This is a perfect mystery phrase because it points toward the answer, but not clearly enough for an ordinary person to understand immediately. Holmes needed the physical evidence in the rooms before he could understand the meaning. Now let us connect the clues one by one. First, there was the ventilator. A ventilator should normally bring fresh air from outside, but this ventilator connected Julia's room with Dr. Roylott's room. That was suspicious. Then there was the bell rope. It looked like a normal rope used to call a servant, but it did not ring any bell. It was fake. Then there was the bed. The bed was fixed to the floor, so Julia could not move it away from the wall, the ventilator, and the rope. Now everything makes sense. Roylott could send the snake through the ventilator. The snake could come down the fake bell rope. The bed was fixed in exactly the right place, so the victim would always sleep where the snake could reach her. The room was not attacked from the door. It was not attacked from the window. The danger entered through a tiny opening that most people would never suspect. This is why Holmes is so powerful. He does not only ask, who is dangerous? He asks, how could the danger reach the victim? Many people may suspect Roylott because he is violent, angry, and cruel. But suspicion is not enough. A detective needs method. Method means the way something is done. Roylott had a motive because of money. If Julia married, he would lose part of the money he controlled. If Helen married, he would lose more. So he had a reason to stop them. But Holmes also needed to find the method. The method was the snake. The ventilator was the path. The fake bell rope was the bridge. The fixed bed was the target. The whistle was the signal. The safe was where the snake was kept. The milk and the cord were connected to controlling it. These simple objects were not simple at all. They were parts of a hidden plan. Now think about the whistle. Julia heard a low whistle in the middle of the night before she died. Helen also remembered hearing it. That whistle was not random. It was a signal. Roylott used it to call the snake back to his room, after sending it through the ventilator. The metallic sound also becomes clear. It was likely connected to the safe, or something in Roylott's room when the snake was returned and locked away. Earlier, these sounds felt mysterious. Now they become evidence. Evidence means facts or signs that help show the truth. This is the beauty of a good detective story. In the beginning, small details confuse us. At the end, the same details explain everything. Nothing was wasted. The whistle mattered. The metallic sound mattered. The bed mattered. The rope mattered. The ventilator mattered. Even the milk mattered. We should also understand the idea of a red herring. A red herring means a clue that leads people in the wrong direction. In this story, the gypsies, the wild animals, and the word band can mislead us. They make us think about people outside the house. They make us think the danger may have come from the lawn, from the travelers, or from the cheetah and baboon. But those details were not the real answer. They created atmosphere and confusion. They made the mystery darker. But Holmes did not let them control his thinking. He followed evidence. This is an important lesson for life and for English learning. Not every detail has the same value. Some details guide you toward truth. Some details distract you. A strong mind learns to look carefully before deciding. The ending also brings a kind of justice. Justice means that wrong actions are answered or corrected. Roylott planned danger for Helen, just as he had caused danger for Julia. But when Holmes struck at the snake went back through the ventilator into Roylott's room. The danger returned to the man who created it. Holmes did not plan to kill him. Holmes was protecting Helen and Watson, but Roylott became the victim of his own cruel method. This is a powerful ending because the hidden evil inside the house finally destroys itself. Helen is saved. Julia's mystery is solved. The old fear that haunted Stoke Moran is finally explained. My dear learners, this story is not only about a snake, a detective, and an old house. It is also about how truth works. Truth does not always appear loudly. Sometimes it hides in small details. Sometimes it hides in a strange sound. Sometimes it hides in a fake rope, a small opening, or a bed that cannot move. Sherlock Holmes teaches us to observe before judging, to collect facts before making a theory, and to connect small clues before reaching the final answer. And this method can help you with English too. When you listen to English and feel confused, do not panic. Observe the situation. Collect the words you understand. Notice the feeling. Connect the clues. Keep listening. Slowly, meaning will become clear. English is not solved by fear. English is solved by patience, attention, and regular practice. So now we can finally answer the great question of this story. What was the speckled band? It was the deadly snake that Roylott used as a secret weapon. Why did Julia die in a locked room? Because the danger did not enter through the door or window. It entered through the ventilator. Why was the bell rope fake? Because it gave the snake a path down to the bed. Why was the bed fixed? Because Roylott needed his victim to sleep in the same position every night. Why did Helen come to Holmes? Because her heart understood that the same danger was coming for her. And why did Holmes succeed? Because he noticed what others ignored. If you enjoyed this Sherlock Holmes mystery, and you want more classic stories explained in simple English, please like this video and subscribe to Bookish English. Also, tell me in the comments, did you guess the truth before Holmes explained it? And if you want the PDF of this video, comment, I need the PDF of this video. Write one new English word you learned from this story, and I will be happy to read your comments. Keep learning through stories, because stories make English alive, emotional, and easy to remember. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you soon in the next video.